Good. I don't know what part of the world you're in, Andre, but I'm going to say good afternoon. I'm in London, the UK. How you doing, sir? You well?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm blessed, man. Where are you?
Right outside of Atlanta. So it's about 10 o'clock in the morning here.
I'm with Andre O'Shea. Now, for a lot of people outside of the art world, NFT world, they might not know who you are, but you garnered quite a bit of attention recently where you were selected for or given the opportunity to create some art for the Oscars. It didn't quite go according to maybe how you had it in your mind's eye. Let's say that much.
To say the least.
But you managed to redeem yourself, and I think you're just this little snapshot of your journey is something that we should really drill down in on, because it's something I think a lot of people can learn from you. I ran the story after the Oscars, and my headline was NFT Oscars disaster, make of the artist. For a lot of people who are watching this and haven't got a clue what I'm banging on about, fill them in. You know, why are we talking today, Andre? What happened at the Oscars?
So I was commissioned to create a one-of-one NFT honoring Chadwick Boseman, and upon announcement and upon release, there was backlash from Twitter and some online news publications, and it just got really nasty. It got really outrageous. I like to say I was Twitter's villain of the day that day.
You are a renowned artist, and we're going to get into that. Your work, is known, hence why you probably got the opportunity in the first place. But talk about when you got the heads up that you were going to be creating this, historic piece of art, and just wanting to kind of put your stamp on, what was going out there and leave an indelible mark. Just talk about how you felt when you got that opportunity, and just what was in your mind's eye when you created the first piece.
Well, I don't want to say obviously, but I was very excited to have the opportunity. But I was also very nervous about it and kind of anxious about it, just because I sort of felt the weight of the opportunity and sort of felt the weight of the tribute sort of immediately. And we had probably maybe about a 6-day turnaround time on it. So I was sort of feeling, I guess people say it's imposter syndrome. I was feeling, am I good enough for this piece? Am I good enough to get it done in 6 days? Am I good enough to make something worthy and worthwhile? And initially, again, I'd gone through a couple different concepts and ideas, and eventually we settled on the one that is the original piece, and that one is a bust of Chadwick is slowly being built out of metal and light. And then as soon as it's completed, it sort of transitions into gold, and you're transported into this world where this testament lives, right? There's you can see like the spacey sky, and there's moving foliage and everything like that. And that was our initial piece. And, my idea was that through hard work, through light, through leading with light, Chadwick had sort of built his legacy. And then it was immortalized, in gold, and immortalized in this altar, immortalized in this world that it had lived in.
I thought you delivered. I guess art is so subjective that you just don't know how it's going to be received, right? I thought it was okay. I didn't, I wasn't overly moved in one direction, if I'm being totally honest with you, but I didn't think that it warranted the backlash that you got. So when that started to manifest and all that negativity was coming through, just talk about how you felt, because it's a moment, right? It's the Oscars, the eyes of the world are on you, and just that magnifying glass, the intensity is I guess such that you've never felt before. How was you feeling? How did it impact on you, your family, and all of that?
Yeah, it was intense. I'll say that. There were people online actually attacking my family, attacking my sister, attacking my mother, and that part it's unnerving, because to a certain extent, you have to let it happen. Like, people are going to say what they choose to say, and you can't stop everybody from saying something. But it was very difficult for me, actually, you know, and people from the outside, you know, they try to reach out and give you advice, and they tell you just ignore it, or it comes with the territory, or, you know, things like that. And while they're right, and while those are true things, you know, it's way easier to say than it's done. You know, ignoring all these people saying all these vicious and hurtful and harmful things about you as a person is very difficult, because to me, those are people, they're casting that energy on you. They're casting the negativity that they're saying on you. They're directly projecting it onto you. And as much as you would like to ignore it, it's extremely difficult, because you're just feeling the negative energy that the world is sort of harboring for you in that moment. So yeah, it was just initially going through it. It was very, very difficult. But much like you said, there are a lot of people who didn't understand what the problem was, and they were reaching out to me too. And they're saying, well, personally, I love this artwork and I think this is great. You know, I have a huge community with Black NFT art, and they held a clubhouse room for me the night that everything happened, and I didn't even know initially. You know, they had just opened it to sort of talk about the situation and how to handle it, and then I just happened to pop into the room, and there was so much love, there was so much support in that room that, you know, I wasn't able to fully ignore what people were saying, but I was able to understand the duality of the situation I was in.
I guess in anything, the higher you climb in terms of your profile, the more you put yourself out there. And I've covered sport for like 18 to 20 years. And this is something that's consistent with that as well. Moving people to have an opinion either way, left or right. That's a lot of the time, that's kind of what we're after, you know. And you definitely did that with this piece of art, even though that wasn't the intention. Chadwick Boseman being such a big subject, I guess, you know, I didn't think about it before, but there's almost an inevitability about the fact that so many people were going to be invested in the final product, right? And I guess that only truly hit home when, you know, not everybody, or there were a larger amount of dissenting voices than one would have probably envisaged. So taking it on again, what was the thinking? What was the mindset? Correcting it, putting it right, or just expressing yourself artistically in that way all over again? What was the full process behind that?
Well, second time around, I was actually speaking to a room a couple days ago. I said this was my Kobe moment. It was a moment where I felt like I could really silence doubters, haters, critics. I was very appreciative of that moment, actually, you know, because it takes 48. Sorry about that. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
It takes 48 minutes to play a basketball game, and, you know, the clutch moments are only in the last minute, and it takes a lot to get there, and it takes a unique experience to get there. So when that moment comes, you need to embrace it. And that's just how I felt working on this piece. You know, I had my team working with me. I have a couple managers, a couple advisors, and a couple publicists. And we just took this moment as an opportunity to be better and to do better. So going into this piece creatively, I knew that I was going to cut ties with the initial company that I was working with. And that would allow me to not work on such a harsh deadline. I feel like working with a 6-day deadline before, it didn't allow me to put my voice into the piece as much as I would have liked to. So when working on the second piece, that was one of the rules that we had, is it's done when it's done. You know what I mean? We're not going to rush this, and we're going to do this right. And that piece actually went through a lot of changes as well, just because we were tweaking and doing a lot of different things. The piece I'm talking about is a young boy's dream. And initially, it wasn't a looping walk cycle. And it wasn't a boy, it was a man made of light, and he was just in a world sort of walking freely. And to me, it wasn't hitting the nail on the head. Things weren't coming full circle. It didn't click all the way. And it was in one of our meetings that somebody suggested, well, why don't we add a boy instead of a man? And I just thought that change made the most sense in the world. Like, it was one of those light bulb goes off in your head moments. It was one of those you open the door and it goes moments. And making him the boy, making it a boy in the middle, just to me, it made it about education, and it made it about passion. It made it about influence and impact and setting an example and paying it forward. You know what I mean? I think that Chadwick had chosen a lot of unique roles to play in his life. And I tried to highlight those in this piece, whether it be Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall. I thought that these were all impactful roles, not just because of who these people were in history. Obviously, Jackie Robinson and James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, obviously they're incredibly impactful people in life and been incredibly influential for our people. But I thought what those people represented was also incredibly impactful. For instance, when we're kids, a lot of us learn our bodies. We learn who we are. We learn who we are in motion and space through sports, through playing. And I think for a lot of us growing up, being a sports star is a dream. And that's something that, you can become if you put in that work and effort for it. Same with music. I think a lot of kids learn their voice through music. And to me, that's what James Brown represented, somebody who had learned their voice through music. And I think that that's incredibly impactful for a young person to be walking through these different testaments of people who had, weathered the storm with their backs against the wall and had achieved those dreams. So that was sort of the focus on the second piece. That's what I wanted to sort of bring to the light. And I just wanted to create a piece that was more about like a celebration of life or the possibilities of life.
Yeah, and I think it encapsulated all of those things. We are talking the day after it was sold, the day after the drop. How was that? That must have been a moment for you.
It really was. It was a very special moment for me because, again, my community, they really came out and supported really hard. A lot of people were tagging collectors. A lot of people were sharing it across their socials. A lot of people were very active. I had 3 clubhouse rooms with 500 people in a row. And to be honest, that had never happened to me. I'd hardly been in one clubhouse room with 300 people, but people had really came out to support this. And the person who collected it, her name is Elizabeth. She's amazing. She's been extremely supportive throughout this whole process. And she had a moment to share what the piece meant to her, and it was very special. And one of the things that she said that stuck out to me is, she said, "This reminds me of my sons. This reminds me of my boys. Some of my favorite moments and memories I have with them is just me recording videos as they're walking and exploring the world around them." And that really, hit home to me. And, you said it was a moment, and it really was, because my sister was in the clubhouse room, but ironically, my mother was with my sister listening. And my mom actually got a chance to hop on stage. Nobody knew. I didn't even know my mom was listening. And she got to kind of express and share what all of this stuff meant, like, because she had been listening to what the community had been saying about me for the past couple days on these stages. And she was actually, I was with her. I was with my mom. We were on a road trip when all the backlash happened. So she was very front row center for all of it, And I've never heard, I don't think my mom's had the opportunity to hear people speak about me in that light. I think my mom knows who I am as a person, and, I try to tell her what people think of me and say of me. And she appreciates that, but you don't know until you really know. And that was just a very touching moment for me. My mom just surprising the room and just showing love to everybody who's been showing love for me. It was a weird synergy of my life, you know, just two different sectors coming together. Absolutely. And yeah, a moment it was.
We're talking about a young boy. So what was Andre like as a young boy? Where does this artistic acumen come from? I mean, have you always been an expressive type? Break it down for me.
Yeah, so if you were to talk to my mom, she would tell you I've been drawing since I was born, you know. What'd you say?
Is she there?
Oh no. She's not here. No.
Oh, I was gonna
I'm at home. My mom, she's at her home. She's doing whatever she's doing. I don't know. But if you were to talk to her, she would say that, you know, I've been drawing my whole life. I've been when I was a child, I was drawing, I was playing with Legos, and I was making puzzles. Or completing puzzles, not making them. That's a different level of technique that I don't have. But I've always been a creative in the soul, you know. Me as a young person, I would say I was very curious. And I would say I'm still curious, an adventurer at heart. And I kind of try to bring those elements into my art, that feeling of adventure, that feeling of newness, that feeling of the future, and sort of letting yourself go and becoming one with your journey. I would say that is deeply represented in my art, and that's sort of representative of me as a child as well.
When did it click for you, though? So this was your journey?
Art, very early. Maybe, I mean, like grade school early, you know. I would be driving with my grandma in the car, and I would point out art museums. I go, Grandma, I'm going to sell a piece in that museum. It's going to be worth $2.7 million, you know. And she just sort of chuckle and laugh at me, and, you know, but I'd be like, no, I'm serious. That's going to happen. This is going to happen. I'd been in art school basically my whole life. Particularly starting in 4th grade. And when I went to college, I even majored in studio art. So it had always been a focus of mine to become a full-time creative and to become a full-time artist. It has sort of been without question thing in the back of my head.
3D art, though, which I see you specialize in.
Yeah,
I've been through your site, and very impressive, sir. And, you know, I hope to be able to cop one of your pieces soon, or a few, to be honest with you. I think you're going to go on to do some amazing things, even more amazing than you've done already. But in terms of just mastering that area of art, talk a little bit about that, and just some of the pieces that you're most proud of that you kind of either sold or still have, or, you know, you're working on.
Yeah, so for me in 3D art, just to also bring it back to the when did it click moment, there was when I moved to Atlanta, because I moved to Atlanta from Philadelphia. Me and my partner, we had said the situation that got us to Atlanta is we both lost our jobs in the same week. My car had been hit twice in one day. And, you know, eventually they fired us like a week later for being late or something like that, you know. And my mom had been living in Atlanta. We're originally from Minnesota, me and my family. She had been living in Atlanta for about 2 years, and she had been really, really sort of hounding us to move down here. And because it was just her and my sister. And when we got fired, we said, you know, we're going to move to Atlanta, just screw it. You know, like when I got fired, I didn't even tell my girlfriend. I just came home and I said, we're moving to Atlanta. And she knew what that meant. And but we both decided we're not going to work a job. If we're going to look because the rationale, the reasoning behind moving to Atlanta was, well, we don't have any jobs here, so what's really keeping us here? Would we rather look for new jobs in Philadelphia and still plan to move to Atlanta in a year, or should we just move to Atlanta? And we just decided to move to Atlanta. But during that whole planning process, we both decided, no real jobs, so to speak, no 9-to-5s. We're going to learn how to do this on our own. We have a unique opportunity. Most people don't have an opportunity to work for themselves. So we just decided to take it head on. And because I had an art background, I decided to get into graphic design. And that was going decently well for me. But like anybody who starts in graphic design, I'm working on $30 album covers and this and that. And I'm trying to learn how to raise my price, because I wasn't going to live off $30 album covers. This was just fine to get me some money here, some food here and there. So I got into motion design, and that was really eye-opening for me. And just throughout learning motion design, I stumbled upon Cinema 4D. And this is probably about 3 or 4 months into my freelance journey as a graphic designer. And I just haven't looked back since. 3D art for me, it's been incredibly freeing creatively, liberating, just because it is actual literal 3D space. I know you can say it's 3D art, but sometimes I feel it's important to stress and express that to people, that the world that we're creating in is an actual 3D environment. Like, there is depth to this world. It's not just like a 2D plane where you can create or fabricate depth. So there's a different level of accountability that goes into the work, first of all, when that's involved. But it also is extremely freeing creatively, and that just really resonated with me. I've had a slight background in music, and if you make music, then you know that there's just some things that you can't express with words. It only can be expressed with sound. And that's sort of how I felt with 3D. I sort of felt like, wow, I can kind of express with sound here. It's not sound exactly, but the same way that sound is an abstract expression, I felt like I could create more abstract expressions with 3D work. So I've been probably doing 3D now for about, I think I just passed the 5th year, or I'm passing the 5th year in August. August is when I first started working on 3D stuff. So this August will be year 5.
You clearly mastered the.
I don't know about mastered, but
I think you're very good. I mean, obviously, I'm a mere consumer. I'm not an expert in the field, but I know what pleases the eye. Having done what I've done for 20 years, and I know what looks good, basically. And I see some fantastic efforts there.
Thank you.
Have a future in that space, or I see you've amalgamated with the whole NFT wave, and I guess it's your time, really, in that respect. So talk about the excitement in terms of opportunities that you see ahead of you and some of your ambitions, if you like.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I'm really happy to be a part of in the NFT space. I think that there's just been a very happy and healthy synergy between my work and the technology and the values of the space. I just feel like it was actually kind of made for me, not me specifically, but a person like me. And to be honest, what I'm excited about is that there's just open possibility, and that there's so much more that can happen. NFTs allow for digital artists to demand more of their worth, because they can certify their work's authenticity, which allows you to create more ownership opportunities. And just the attention that one gets in this space, I get approached to work on projects that are, for me, almost like dream come true projects. They're, amazing opportunities, just like being able to honor Chadwick. So to be honest, I don't know exactly what's in store. I've sort of, I haven't thrown away my plans or anything like that, but I've sort of surrendered to the different possibilities that this space can offer. So much changes so quickly. You know, 1 week in crypto, 1 week in the NFT space feels like a month everywhere else. So for me to even try to plan what 3 months from now looks like, to me, is a bit foolish, because anything can happen in 3 days, for instance.
You're part of a collective as well, right? I think I saw that you guys are about advocating for Black artists in the space.
Yeah, so Black NFT art.
Sorry?
Black NFT art.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about that for a second.
So Black NFT art, it was founded by Iris and Omar. Those are my two managers. And what they want to do is they want to amplify Black voices in the NFT space. And it's just that simple. It's just about amplification. They have multiple different avenues and routes to do that. They share people's work for free. They have different programs where they try to help and teach artists how to get into the space. They do talent booking because they get approached for a lot of different projects. They have a podcast that they try to amplify voices on, and they host weekly Clubhouse events, 3 of them specifically. One is called Intro to NFTs, where they allow people who are beginners to the space to come and ask questions about the beginning process and what do I need to know if I want to get into the space? What do I need to have? What works? What doesn't work? They have NFT Q&A, which is a very similar program, but a higher level, more intermediate program where it's just about asking specific questions about a specific topic. Like we may have a photography Q&A, and we may have some photographers, and people will come up and ask questions of the photographers. And then another one, which is sort of like an artist hangout, artist reflection time, where again, it's topic based, but it's supposed to be more about the art and not about NFTs and not about the business about it, but just about the creation process itself.
Sounds like a positive movement. I mean, have they made much traction over there? Have they began to galvanize a community that I guess is for the most part underrepresented?
Yeah, they've been doing an amazing job, actually. They've been doing really great at building community. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you know, I think they're over 3,000 followers on both Instagram and Twitter. You know, it could be well over that, because I stopped checking. They were just going up so much. About 1,000 followers on Clubhouse. And all of this is happening probably within the past two months or so. And when I was speaking earlier about the community that was embracing me during my rough time, that's the community I was speaking of, the Black NFT art community. It's just full of artists that are extremely supportive and extremely caring and compassionate about one another and, you know, each other's art.
Anything you want to share with us in terms of what you're working on now? That's particularly exciting, or?
Well, so I'm not ready to announce any new projects or any new partnerships yet, but I have been, you know, for a few weeks now, the only art people have been seeing from me were Chadwick Boseman tributes, whether it be the first one or this one. The new one, A Young Boy's Dream, where I'd actually disappeared from socials for a couple weeks. I've been working in the back. I have a lot of cool new concepts that I'm ready to share and sort of see what people run with. Creatively, I'm just sort of excited to be moving on to a new chapter and being able to sort of apply what I've learned during this lesson into my new work. I'm sure that I'll have some new pieces up for auction soon. But yeah, I'm more so excited about the possibility right now. That's sort of where I'm excited just generally right now. I feel like I have a lot more possibility and a lot more freedom creatively.
Well, where can people find out more about you, Andre? I mean, I know, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. That's where I mostly am. You can find me on Twitter every single day talking to the people. For instance, today I'm asking everybody what they're working on. People are showing me their work in progress and everything, and just somebody is telling me that they're practicing kung fu today, and it's just an exciting time. You can also find me on Instagram, where I would say I more so post and go, but it is a better portfolio of my work as a whole. Um, Iris and Omar also founded Umadaima, and that is used to amplify the voices of Caribbean and African artists, because American art is expensive, and there are a lot of artists who put out very high quality work, higher than us in America oftentimes, and they're getting a fraction of the price. So they want to help amplify and help put those artists in opportunities to earn the money that they deserve. But on their Umadaima website, I actually have a profile page on there. It just has a brief bio and a couple links to some of my work.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Andre. I wish you all the best.
Oh, it's been great,
forward.
Man.
No, I wish you all the best moving forward. And unless there are any final words that you want to leave our audience with.
Stay hydrated. Drink your water.